since 2012, and was really happy to. I inherited the project with Placer Land Trust from a previous colleague who was working here, and started working with the land trust. And at the time, actually, the first time I came out here, I was like, I don't have time for this crappy little creek project. I have other stuff I need to deal with, and I didn't really think much of it. But we at the time we were just planting riparian trees down on the floodplain, and we were trapping beaver and kind of fighting the beaver. And then, having worked in other places with river and stream restoration, especially up in the Klamath, one of the typical things we tried to do was breach levees, reconnect floodplains. And in those cases, a lot of times we would reconstruct the entire channel. With this project, there was a lot of good research coming out from National Marine Fisheries Service at the time with regards to beaver, and so we were like, okay, we could breach these levees. The channel's in size. It's not going to reconnect right away. Let's stop killing the beaver and see what happens. And I mean, my colleague at the time, Jared McKee, he's our civil engineer. He and I were looking at this, and we were like, well, who knows, 10 years from now, maybe, something interesting will happen there, and we'll find out. But literally, it was within 2 years they reconnected the floodplain. New channels started forming, and so that was really a wake-up call to us in terms of it wasn't, and it's not just beaver. It's the idea of using natural process and relying on nature's power to do work, and integrating that into the design process. Because before this project, a typical design project for us was, okay, what are we going to build? Let's map it out, and then we're going to go out and build it. And now our design process, okay, what's in the way of nature's power, disturbance process, beaver, any other kind of successional processes, what's in the way of it? And let's see how much of that we can get out of the way and allow recovery to occur. And so that's, it really, in a lot of ways, it switches the design process on its head. And because we're not only allowing nature to do a lot of the work, but we're accepting the fact that we don't know exactly what the outcome's going to be, and that's a tough mental thing to adjust to. But we need whenever that, it's still hard for me on projects, because you look at the degraded site and you're like, nature can't heal this. But then when you start addressing those source problems in the system, you'll see it can happen, and it happens really quickly, because floods have a lot of power in them, a lot more than a 2-year flood here event. We calculated has the same amount of power as like 150 days of diesel fuel.
Check it out. Exactly.
Yeah. Backhoe out there.
Yeah.
And one event brought in over 3,500 cubic yards of sediment, which would be, thousands of dollars of work to do that. But more importantly, nature put it where it belongs. We didn't engineer it there. Nature put it where it belongs.
Wait. I thought the humans always know best. And you're telling me that's not true?
Well, and the basic fact you just have to fall back on is these processes have been shaping these systems for millions of years. We've only been trying to do stream restoration for about 35 years, and so that's where we have to accept that, and again, we're still tweaking it. We're nudging it. Like there's flood inputs, there's changes 1 year, and then we come back and we do some tweaks, and then again, it's this evolving process. We're not just like totally hands off, but we're not making these assumptions at the beginning about what the entire site should absolutely look like either. And so that's the analogy we often use is with flight control. You know, for centuries people tried to fly, and it wasn't until they gave up the fact that you don't have total control when you're in the sky that you have to be able to, the plane has to be able to adjust and move. And if you try to have total control, you're going to crash. And that's
Stewarding watershed function energy.
That's it. Yeah. 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 And then we can put more design time into the infrastructure, modifying the infrastructure so we have better infrastructure, better roads, better, you know.
You're leveraging.
Yeah.
More bridges. Right?
Yeah.
You're
Well,
leveraging the resources there.
build back better.